Hello, everybody, and welcome to Oh Baby a Triple, the TV show turned radio show turned podcast turned live stream. My name is Corey, and I love me some hard liquor on the weekends. I'm joined by the beautiful and wonderful Alex Lawson. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, Alex.
Thank you.
Why don't
Thank you.
go ahead and give us a little intro about yourself? Who are you? Who are you?
My name is Adam. I am a resident friend of the Buff/Spicy Boys group. I like movies. I like TV. I like anime. That's about it, really.
But you're much more than just that.
Oh, thank you.
You're an influencer.
Yes. And then, as always, as usually, I can't say as always because sometimes Harry's not here, sometimes Ryan's not here.
Yeah.
But
this time Harry's not here.
I'm usually always here.
That's because Corey. That's called you're dedicated to your job. You're dedicated to the craft.
But I'm joined also this week. Actually, it'd be right here. Yeah, it'd be right here. I'm joined by the wonderful, beautiful Ryan Koller.
Yeah, that's me.
Thank you.
He already introduced me, so I'm good.
Yeah.
You said my name and everything.
There's like a beat between us introducing ourselves where it's like, who's
next?
Who's next? But
I usually let Harry. I like going last.
Okay, I like the formula of kind of like, hi, my name's Corey, and I insert improv line here, and then like Harry does the same thing, and then you do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just introduce all you, but we should discuss that. That should be something we talk about.
Sure.
Later. That's for. I'm sorry.
That's for our personal stuff.
This is internal stuff. But thank you everybody for joining the show today. We are going to be talking about the Dark Crystal.
Ooh.
It was actually it was submitted to us by Alex. So we got Alex joining us this week to talk about the Dark Crystal series.
It was. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was a little bit of an accident. I was trying to suggest movies like Watership Down, but we settled on the Dark Crystal, which, in all honesty, would probably make for a better conversation. So.
Oh yeah. Watership Down's kind of like the heaviest thing. It's pretty hefty to like sit through.
We could have done Das Boot.
Oh yeah, that 3 hours sub movie. And if you watch the director's cut, it's like 5 hours long. It's like, which one?
That would have been a time. Although
that's a good movie though.
The TV series Dark Crystal ends up being closer to 10 hours because it's like 10 episodes.
Well, you know,
they're each like about 50 minutes.
Yeah, so maybe it falls into more like 7 or 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we're not going to be just talking about Dark Crystal, the TV series on Netflix. Ryan, you also have like the movie you watched recently, and I watched like the documentary making the TV show and the TV. Like I completed the TV show, so I got that under my belt.
I've got the first 5 episodes and a very strong pull towards high fantasy, dark fantasy type of things. That's usually my jam.
Yeah.
So.
We were talking before the show, Alex. I thought you were definitely going to say, like, the raw emotions you feel about the first movie.
Just, the goblins really get under my skin there.
They're creepy looking. They're cute, but they're creepy.
Yeah, they're all races of little Yodas.
That's true, yeah. So if you like Baby Yoda, you'll love the Dark Crystal.
I always feel like the people that, when they were kids and they watched the Dark Crystal, it was the Skeksis that scared everyone the most.
Oh,
was
absolutely.
those birds. Like those things were creepy.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Very much.
Oh yeah. But they got the coolest design in the whole thing.
They do.
Like they have like the most personality when it comes to like everything that they have, like between the way that they look and the way that they like what they wear and what's on them and everything. Like everything from top to bottom says a lot about what that character is, or who that character is, and it's kind of insane like how much you can already glean just from looking at the character.
Yeah, there's like each Skeksis design has like something like completely unique about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's like a couple with like much shorter, like rounder heads, and have like, I mean, like you could say enough about like the making of the different prop heads that like make them unique, but the costume that they wear is so goddamn elaborate and specific.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into that.
Mm.
And then to top it all off, you got a guy under the costume
exactly.
doing this.
Yeah.
Like, jeez, man.
I definitely
really-
was.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, Alex.
What I was gonna say is that I really, really liked how much personality that all the characters got being like in a practical setup. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
just the amount of emotion they were able to elicit from all of the characters just really blew my mind.
Right.
So go ahead, Ron.
Oh, it's like no worries. What's I find really interesting is actually like the difference between watching the original film and growing up with that, and then watching this the newer Netflix series, and how it's actually kind of like incredibly different in presentation. I can
Yeah.
definitely tell that Netflix saw a lot of the kids' reactions to being like, the Dark Crystal was too scary for kids, and then they said, okay, well, let's brighten it up a bit, like literally like actually having more lighting and everything like that in this movie. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely a more like brighter looking film, because if you watch the original, it's very dark, it's very like dingy looking, it's shot on film, so it adds to that like kind of like tech, that like kind of scarier, darker feel,
Yeah.
you know. And I think I kind of love like the look of the original a lot more, just because I love that dark fantasy look, and for me that's really iconic. But not to overshadow or overthrow like saying that the newest one is poopy, because it's got like, it's a little bit nicer looking, it's probably a lot less scarier for kids and stuff like that. But I definitely think that, you know, I still think it still holds at least true to what the Dark Crystal is, at least with the new series, which is what I really appreciate about the Age of Resistance, or what's it called? Age of Renaissance?
Age of Resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with the movie then?
Yeah.
Just
that
because
came first.
we'll start with the movie, talk about the Netflix show is a prequel series, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So The Dark Crystal is a film that was directed by Jim Henson and Frank Oz. Frank Oz is obviously, he played as Yoda. He was well known for being Yoda.
Also
and
Miss
voicing
Piggy.
him. And Miss Piggy, yes.
Arguably the more important role.
Yep. So pretty much, you know, the Skeksis, they have this continued corruption of the Dark Crystal, and pretty much, there's like, there's this young, Gekling. I keep fucking this up. Gelfling. I keep messing this up. Yeah, I've seen these movies a million times. I still can't remember what like it's called. Has to kind of go off on a big adventure kind of thing, you know, and you know, save the world and things like that. You know, it's a very, very simple. It's very, very like streamlined story about, you know, the Dark Crystal and like, you know, the Skeksis and the Gelflings and the adventures they go on and everything in that nature, blah blah blah, you know. I have to admit, the story is kind of like, there is a lot going on in the movie story wise, but there's also like, it's also kind of like very streamlined hero's journey kind of deal, you know. But it is a pretty great movie. I still love it. Oh yeah, Corey, I know I said the trigger word. Hero's journey.
Don't get me riled up. I'll go.
But there's a lot of love in this movie. I think it's a really interesting movie because the behind the scenes work of this movie is absolutely insane. Like watching this movie even in 2021 is an incredibly impressive experience. Like just looking at the set designs, the puppeteering, the work that was put into it, it's like it's enormous. It's because I think a lot of people, I think during this time, go to, when it comes to Jim Henson films, it's going to be The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
Mhm.
Those are the two films that they turn to and go, those are extremely impressive films that all involve puppets. But sometimes you get so like invested in it, you almost forget that they're just puppets.
True.
You know?
Actually,
And
yeah.
it just kind of like feels like it's just a part of it. And I think that's what makes those films so great, is that the puppets have so much personality and expression and interesting things going on that it just pops out. Everyone likes to talk about how the Dark Crystal is scary. I mean, I'll be honest, as a kid, I didn't think it was very scary, but that's also because Batman Returns scared me. So that's how scary you had to go in order for me to be kind of scared.
Yeah, I mean,
was
Batman
to, like,
Returns
go-
is pretty dark.
It was pretty fucking something.
That's where the children were being kidnapped, right?
Yeah, they were being
Yeah.
kidnapped to be thrown into a watery grave and die. The end.
Wow.
I was
yeah.
like, oh, that was like the main plot of the movie,
Damn,
which is
Danny
fucked up.
DeVito.
Danny DeVito fucking scared me, dude. He was a scary dude. Anyways,
Looks like a Skeksis.
Danny
He
DeVito
does.
could've been.
Danny
I
does look like a
wish.
Skeksis.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish he was.
He'd be a really short Skeksis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he would have been really good. I feel like he would have been a really good Skeksis. Like his voice, he could have done a really good voice for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would have been impressive. But no, like I mean, the Dark Crystal, I'm not gonna say isn't creepy. It definitely has elements in it that are kind of creepy. I mean, Labyrinth had that too. I mean, Labyrinth had a couple of scenes that I was like, that's kind of weird and creepy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I definitely would say like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth are a great double feature for like Jim Henson films from the 80s, because those are like the top two best ones and hands down like the most like impressive work I've ever seen, like when it comes to like his filmography. Especially if you want to branch away from like the Muppets, because the Muppets is like just all he's really known for, and it's like I think the Dark Crystal doesn't get a whole lot of love. Like everyone talks about Labyrinth, but I feel like the Dark Crystal gets overshadowed by Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's like the whole cast and crew of like, I mean, sorry, not the crew, the whole cast of the film, like, is really just like all puppets. Whereas like in Labyrinth, you have like, you know, Jennifer Connelly and like David Bowie and the baby. You know, there's like actual real people in that movie, and then interspersed with like puppet characters. But like the Dark Crystal is like all puppets, 100% all puppet. No human actors, no nothing. You don't. It's just you are immersed in this world and these characters, and that's it. And I kind of love that. Like I just kind of like that it's a whole movie just showing Jim Henson flexing his puppeteering muscles and just being like, "Look how good I am." Do you like what you see? And he's he's just flexing a giant, thick puppet arm. He's got like
Hermit for 15 years.
I want one of the Gelflings to flex, and it turns like their muscles into Muscle Bob, where it's like from SpongeBob. It's just a fucking giant inflated muscle.
Well, you could like do that if you have like say like a muscle arm and then like an air pocket. It's like
Jim would find a way.
and they're fantasy strong.
Yeah, I just want a real human arm to pop out, like for that food.
There is no human. Yeah, there's no human element in any of the Dark Crystal at all. All of it is either covered in felt and clothing, or like designed to like by plastic or something. Like you got eyeballs and stuff and skin, but it's all fake. None of it's real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice to know that the Jim Henson Company is still around. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Like, I mean, even though I know that they made that one, they made that one shitty Melissa McCarthy movie, The Murders of whatever.
Oh
Street,
yeah.
the Happy Time Murders or whatever.
Yeah, something
like
like that.
Brian Henson, that's Jim Henson's son. Like, that's what he made as like his first movie, and that was a big mistake. But it's like, but it's nice. But the only thing I could say was, well, at least they're still around. Like
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
still like doing puppeteering and doing puppet work and stuff, and it's nice to see them like still doing it. And
Yeah.
like so like when they did do the show, like the Dark Crystal, I was very happy and very excited to know that they were continuing forward with like that same legacy. I think it's really
Right.
nice that he was like willing to continue going forward with that.
Yeah,
And
it's really cool.
I think also doing a prequel was a smart idea because as much as I do love the
Yeah.
original film, it's not hard to follow, but it's still like nice to get a little bit more background and a little more, okay, that's where a lot of this is coming from, and kind of get like some good context behind a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, that prequel show is really good if you have seen the original movie. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's good if even if you haven't seen it, I still think you would probably really like it, but I definitely don't know if it will be as effective or if you'll like it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, because I feel like a lot of elements of it are like I don't know how to put it. It's kind of like it's kind of like fan servicey also,
Mm-hmm.
but not like going too fan servicey. It's just kind of doing what it's it's doing its thing,
Yeah.
but
Right.
without being forceful about it. But if you have seen like the original, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like you'll get more.
I have like a clouded memory of the original movie, so I remember like certain specific scenes, like when we first
Mhm.
meet. Was it Lynn?
Yeah.
When we first meet Lynn and like him kind of learning about his adventure come out.
Mhm.
And like some of the larger points, like in the
Oh, wait.
castle in the movie.
I
Is it Lynn?
You
or
said Lynn. It's Jen.
Jen.
I'm stupid.
Jen.
It's Jen.
Okay, Jen, the main character.
Yeah.
One syllable, and
Yeah,
you know.
that's what I mean. It's like I thought it was the same thing. I was like, no wait, no, it's Jen. And then
Jen.
there's like Kyra.
Yeah. I remember
Karen.
I remember the names of this show, but I didn't have too much, like, if there's a fan service moment, I probably didn't realize it, but
Yeah.
there's like you can very easily follow this prequel, and
Mhm.
they don't heavily like lean on. You gotta watch the first film before you watch this.
Yeah.
Kind
Mhm.
of thing.
Yeah. In my case, I'm kind of going in a bit like having bits and pieces of the old movie, but not really understanding a whole lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I will say that the new series did a lot really well of building up the world in the first maybe one or two episodes. Actually, like making it feel alive with all the creatures, all the backgrounds, even like the weather patterns that they had. And like they made the suspense really feel believable to a puppet might die, like dying.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like is it the first episode or the second episode that Deet meets Hup? It's the first episode, right?
That Deep meets Hup.
Yeah.
Second episode.
Yeah,
Second
I was gonna say I
episode.
think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
this one too.
By the way,
The-
just for anyone, we're gonna be spoilers. Spoilers galore.
Yeah. Massive spoilers.
Yeah.
The series and the show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the scene with the spitter, like the giant spider thing, was believably tense.
Yeah.
And that really like blew my mind. Because I'm just like, oh, it's just a person going like this across the ground with their hand in a puppet. But it felt real, it felt believable. And I think that's something that from the original movies, they like paid a lot of attention to carry on, to make it feel like an actual living, breathing.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the interesting things about the prequel is that in pre-production, they were like, we can make this a digital show. Like,
Yeah.
we could make them all puppets, and we could, like,
Mhm.
make them, like, give them that look. And they tried it, and a lot of the representatives at Netflix were like, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look good. And they're like, well, what if we, like, mix it? What if we do, like maybe the main characters, we want to make them more expressive, but the Skeksis, they don't have to be so expressive. So let's do like a puppeteered Skeksy, and then maybe like a 3D animated like Gelfling, and try and see if we can mix that together. And everyone was like, no, it looks wrong. Like, you can tell you can see like the detail of the Skeksis. And they even said like, we didn't want to see, like, after a point, they didn't want to see the CGI puppet. They really just wanted to look at the Skeksis character. The Skeksis character, because it looked so vivid and so real. And
Yeah.
one of the things you get with like film and footage, and I shouldn't say film because this was shot on digital. This was shot on a red. But one of the things you get when you like actually capture images with like a sensor is this. I can't remember the name of it. It's like there's like sub-pixel details that show up, and you get this like the skin has like a look to it, and like the way the light hits it right here, you get like a little bit of a texture that 3D doesn't really get. Like computers don't really have like a clean handle of yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a clear difference when you see it, and I think it was like the vice president of content, something like that, was like, let's do it like live action. Let's all do it real. And everyone at Netflix was like, do you know how much money that is?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
we'll do it, but it's so much money.
We're doing it live.
Yeah. And I'm so glad they did.
Yeah, it turned out way better.
It looks so good. And I like the characters too. They seem like they have like the writers had like a lot putting into the characters.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
they just like all of them have a lot of life.
Yeah. One of the things that I definitely noticed is that there's a lot of underplay, like coming from like a cultural background, like a cultural studies background. There's a lot of interplay within all of the races and how the races interact.
Yep.
And even like all the social hierarchies within all races that are the same. So like the Gelflings, like the Vabra or the Stonewood or something like that,
Yeah.
or Woodstone, like that.
Stone in the Wood.
Yeah, Stone in the Wood. The different tribes of the Gelflings, and then how they interacted, how the Skeksis, or really just the Chancellor, is manipulating kind of everything. And I thought that was really, really interesting. Coming from like a show like this, where I kind of came in with preconceived notions of like, yeah, it's gonna be like it's a Jim Henson Corporation creation.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little bit silly, you know. It's gonna have some things here or there, but they do it very sparingly with the show, and I think that's really, really like a really important point to make, because that makes the characters feel more alive and less like just like we've been talking about.
They've got like a real world around them, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Did you Did you get to the episode where the stone puppet comes to life?
Yeah, Lore. Yeah.
Okay. So that whole scene where she's like, "Oh, which one's the higher up and the more better Gelfling?"
Yep.
And then she realizes like, "Oh wait, no, like we're all the same." It's like super intelligent thing to like come to realize.
Yeah. They cover some like pretty horrifying topics.
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
Yeah. So, because this one is fresh in my mind, so in episode 5, the Skeksis are doing like a Gelfling draft for a war or something.
Yeah.
Just to give a little bit of background. And so they're in Harar. There's two Skeksis in Harar, like, which is one of the Gelfling cities or something. And they're picking volunteers for this draft.
Yeah.
And they make fun of an old guy, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, I'm not that old.
Yeah, they basically called one a ginger. He's the red one with red hair.
Yeah,
she's a strong, but freckles. And the worst part is, what about the small one? And the guy's like, what was it? It's not about the age, it's about the vigor. I'm like, this man's a pedophile.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was like, this is very, very off-putting, and not what I expected from this.
The Skeksis are like the representative of like everything with corruption and evil, and like it's not just like preying on others and preying on the weak and preying on the young. It's like just it's all of that put together.
And they're like they're like forcing like, I mean, they just pretty much are using this crystal of power just for their own like selfish sake too, like and things like that. So they're like very selfish, incredibly like vile kind of like creatures where they just don't give a fuck about anybody or anything else except themselves. Yeah, that's it.
I do a mic check, Ryan. I think you got some hissing. they're like completely disgusting creatures. They're just everything disgusting put into one.
I like how they kind of made them the embodiment of like sin.
Yeah.
Treacherous. They're like they overindulge. They manipulate to get what they want. Once they're in power, they'll do anything to keep that power. It's just everything, like you said, like they encompass corruption and sin.
Yeah.
And you can see how it has spread through the Gelfling tribes as tradition because it's been going on for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. There's like a lot of there's a lot of discussion about like especially in the original film though, there's a lot of talks of like death and the afterlife.
Yeah.
And like, you know, because like a lot of like the whole plot is about like, you know, the Skeksis are like using the Dark Crystal, but like some of them are still dying. And there's like a lot of visceral, like I remember, I think this is probably the scene that scared most kids. There was a dead Skeksis laying in a bed, and his face just like caves in and like deteriorates right before your eyes. It just like falls apart, and it's like freaky as hell because like it's like what the fuck.
It gets exciting. By the end of the prequel, you get to see some of that too.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like I fucking love shit like that. Like I love like looking at like puppets like deteriorate like that, and it looks like really good. And it's like, wow, how do they do that? That's impressive as hell.
I can't remember how much of the movie Ryan talks about the Skeksis coming from like a different world.
That's in the opening.
Is it?
That's
okay.
like it's in the beginning of the film. Like they established that.
Okay.
So a lot of the things that they establish in the beginning of the television show is kind of what is also established in the prequel show.
Okay.
So it's fairly much not doing any. There's some new things, obviously. There are, because obviously it's a prequel, so there's some things that are like not in the Dark Crystal that wasn't put in there, but the idea was still there. Like most of the stuff of like the Skeksis using the crystal to stay young and to keep their youth going and to keep them alive so that they never die. Yeah. That's still the same. You know, the Gelfling's backstory pretty much still the same. You know, so far from what I can gather. There's not terribly too many differences based on from what I was seeing. There's just like some some things they were showing you, I guess, like some certain characters or things like that I'm like, these are all new characters since it's a prequel. So, because I think it's like 1,000 years before the film. Yeah,
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah. So like you won't see any of the familiar faces of the film, but it's the idea that, you know, you're gonna at least be familiar with the race and like the characters. Of like, you know, like just like that world, like, oh yeah, Gelflings, oh Skeksis, oh, you know, the rock creature dude, I don't know, like stuff like that. Like I don't know, you might recognize stuff that you're like, oh cool, but then they're also showing us new stuff, and it's like, oh that's really cool, I like that. You know, I think the rock creature was actually like a new character. I don't know why I put him in as like a recognizable character. I don't know.
Rocks,
but, you know,
there are rocks everywhere in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not gonna see like Jen and like Kira and stuff like that. Like you're not gonna see them. I don't think. I mean, I've only seen the first 3 episodes. They could pull out this whole bullshit at the end saying, "Oh look, this is baby Jen," and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess Jen's a fucking 1,000 years old then.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. Because I don't think they were like, obviously when they end the miniseries, like you can't just like say, oh they did it, it's all good now, because you like go to the movie and you know a lot of the Skeksis characters are still there, the evil's still corruption, all of that. I think they set up a season 2 at the end of this 10-part series. I'm not sure, but there were like visions of characters that we saw doing actions that haven't happened yet. At the end of like episode 10, there's like, oh, like this is gonna happen. And I was like, or sorry, at the end of episode 9, we're like, these visions are happening, and like, this is what the characters do. But I was like getting like the last 5 minutes of episode 10, I was like, are they gonna do the thing yet? And it ends with this kind of like, you know, we will continue kind of thing by the Skeksis, like saying that they're going to continue to fight, and the Gelfling are going to continue to fight as well. So I was like, it seems like they're setting up a season 2.
Okay.
So I did a little digging.
Okay.
They did set up a season, but it got canceled.
No! No!
Damn it. That's how it always goes. Fucking Netflix, man.
Sorry, it was too much money.
Literally, like, it was canceled hours after it won the Emmy that it got. So,
Are you kidding me?
seriously.
Wow.
Netflix, just do what you need to. Do what you need to. Get season 2 made. Come on.
Let's get a hashtag going.
Hashtag season 2.
Yeah.
Hashtag Dark Crystal season 2. Everybody in chat, all 6 of our viewers, please. Hashtag Dark Crystal season 2.
Yeah.
At Netflix.
I definitely want more.
No, 100%.
Clip my reaction to Alex saying season 2 is canceled and send that to Netflix. That's how I feel. I need season 2 right now. I have never needed a season 2 so bad.
Yeah, so the next day, like literally like nighttime to daytime
Fucked up.
hours of one day, it was canceled. And it won the Emmy. For real. Because like this is the best Netflix original thing that I've seen.
Netflix.
I
Based on a pre-existing property too.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure if they got like, if they went to like crowdfunding, if they really needed it, they could get it pretty fast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know what exactly the process is for Netflix and all this, but I can't imagine they would say to the writers, like, yeah, go ahead, set up a season 2. Or the writers, I can't imagine, maybe I should say, I can't imagine the writers would just start writing for a season 2 and Netflix just kind of like not telling them that there's not going to be a season 2. I wouldn't imagine there's like some lost communication in there. I would think that Netflix was like, yes, please start writing for a season 2, like incorporate that, we will allow it. And then just immediately change their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I feel like this is like a very Netflix move though. Like they are very notorious for just starting a show, getting a show off the ground. It got like maybe 1 or 2 seasons off, and then they're like, okay, it's canceled. Yeah. And it's like, why? It's still going strong. And like even the creators are like, we didn't know this was gonna even happen. And it just gets canceled. And then they find out exactly when like everyone else finds out, like when the whole rest of the world finds out. Like it's kind of ridiculous like how like Netflix handles that process, and I don't know why they determine to can a show so fast, which is why I think like that's why I have a huge issue with Netflix originals and original series, because it's like what, like if you wanted to make a mini series, why didn't you just make a mini series?
Yeah.
You know? Like why do you have to make it a show and then give it multiple seasons, and then the creators are like, "Oh, we're making another season." And then you're like, "Absolutely not." Even though they have like a huge cliffhanger, like all these other things, like even the show Mindhunters. Mindhunter has been sitting on season 3 for forever. I mean, people are like, "Where's season 3?" And they're like, "We're having issues with Netflix. Sorry." Like the people that create that show, they're like, "We're having issues with making negotiations with Netflix. They don't want us to make a 3rd season, but we left it on a cliffhanger, so we need to."
It's just. I hate to get like preachy about it, but it's like art, and it's the problem with art taking money to make, and I hate it when like things are like getting set up, and you're like, yeah, you know, like this is an art piece, and like you have to respect that, but they're like, nah, I was not making enough money, so we're gonna can it.
Yeah,
it's like, come on. For the art, it's like it's the gif of it's the clip from it it's the clip from the animated movie Iron Giant art, you know?
Yeah. Like this was honestly one of the like best original things Netflix has done, or at least in a collaboration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was so strong, and they killed it so early. like because I guess it couldn't retain or it didn't get new people to sign up for Netflix.
Yeah.
But, like, that's dumb. And so there's actually quite a few petitions on change.org to get season 2 made.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, but they're all literally like maybe 2 or 3,000 within 500 to like 2,000 votes short of all of them.
That's
like, it's right there.
You know what sucks is I think that it's actually like what I took away from what you just said that just kind of floored me is Netflix should have fucking known like what they were getting into, like what movie they were taking and adapting. It's the fucking Dark Crystal. I'm sorry, but like not to like I love the Dark Crystal, but it was not a huge financial success. It wasn't a big money maker at all. Like it made a modest budget back. Like it made its money back, but it wasn't like a big success. So for them to think that they're gonna pull in bangers with bringing this property that most people like, it has mostly a cult following. It's not really like everyone's top 10 favorite fantasy films. Like it's not like on like people's lists or anything. I mean, it's a respected movie. It's a movie that people grew up watching. But I wouldn't say it would be like a big draw for Netflix. And I'm like, if they were banking on like subscription services and making money with this show, they're sorely mistaken. It's like you should have known exactly what property you were getting into and know the backstory and history behind that too, because even then it wasn't a big profitable movie either. So very presumptuous of them to think that they were going to be like hitting like strides on a movie that's known as a cult film, like where only like it has a hardcore dedicated fan group, but it's like a very small group. You know, and it's a very niche group of people that like this movie and like that are under the bubble of I'm a big Dark Crystal fan. You know what I mean? It's like very, very bizarre that they were like thinking that was going to be it. Like what the fuck, Netflix? Like if you were going to do it, you knew what you were getting into. You just should have fucking gone forward with the if anything, they could have made it a 2-season show, get it a nice bow on it at the end of season 2, just let the creators know and then finish it. Or if they wanted it to be a Dark Crystal miniseries, just do that. If you wanted 1 season of it, great. You should have just fucking
you should have told the writers wrap it up in 1 season.
Wrap it up in a season and then tell one story that you want to do continuing with the Dark Crystal, and it's like that's cool. Like I feel like all the work that those guys did are fucking negated now. Like I feel like they just kind of got the biggest slap in the face where they said, "Good job, you guys did it. You guys won an Emmy. You did a fantastic job. Fuck you, your show's done."
Yeah. It's not about the money, man. I mean, it is, but
it is, but
it's the point of the dedication of a niche fan base that, like, how do I put this? It's like there's a soul of something that's created with cult films.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, it's not just the film itself and all the people that went into it. It's the people that actually gravitated towards it and fell in love with the art form.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like puppeteering is not just a job. I can guarantee you, I couldn't do what they were doing in the film. Yeah. Like you have to be trained and dedicated to it, and I feel like the network execs at Netflix, like all network execs, didn't understand. So like they don't just want to throw all their money at this thing that maybe 12,000 people will watch.
Yeah.
That might make sense, but it still doesn't like change the fact that you basically like slam the door in a bunch of people's faces before they can actually get the entire story. Because you can tell from the minute they set it up and all of how the dialogue is all laid out through the show, how things are all those little Easter eggs or little like what's the word? I can't think of it right now. But like there's just a lot of love that went into it that didn't get reciprocated.
Yeah.
And I feel I feel like if given the correct amount of time, like they've given like the Netflix's shitty Godzilla movies time, then
Yeah.
they would have like actually made their return
Oh yeah.
eventually.
And then also, like, you said this won an Emmy. Like, in and of itself, whenever a show wins an Emmy, especially on its first season, that starts to get people's attention. And they go, oh, that must be a pretty good show. Maybe I'll go check it out because I must have overlooked it. Because people do overlook stuff. And I could understand if you overlook The Dark Crystal. Like, it's not like something I would expect everybody to be talking about. It's not going to be like a big topic. And also it's a kids show. Like a lot of people are probably going to look at it and go, well, that's a kids series, you know? So how many like are you going like adults are going to be watching it? But if you like win an Emmy that gets your show more publicized and more like oh shit, I should watch this. And then people will go watch it and then they'll realize, wow, it's really good. And then that's how you build your audience. I hate to say it, is the awards. The award ceremonies do help with getting your movie more popular or to get your movie more watches because people are like, oh, I hear this is a good movie. I guess I'll watch this movie. Yeah. You know? So I feel like if they did a season 2, after it won an Emmy, people would be like, hey, let me check this out. And then they go watch it. And then they watch season 2. And then they realize, well, this is actually a pretty good show. I like this, you know? Yeah. And, you know, I feel like it would definitely have, like, an audience. But, yeah, like you said, they just didn't give it enough time. They just didn't care. And it's kind of insane that they, like, treated this kind of the way they did. Because there's so much love and attention in this show a lot that I'm noticing. I've only watched 3 episodes. But I really love what they've got. Yeah. Yeah. And, like, and they paid a lot of attention to that original film, and they were studying it left, right, up, and down. And then they said, what can we do to expand this and make this way more, you know, investing and a lot more light, you know, build more life into this. And that's what I think that show did, is that they took the ideas that were thrown into that original film and just expanded it and stretched it and made it way more, you know, gave it a lot more than what the original did. Because, like, the original is so simple, but this show, like, I love what they're doing with it. And I was like, this is cool. It's, like, expanding way more on this world and these characters and, like, this, like, land. And it's really neat. And I love it. And it's so sad that they're just like, we could go further. And they're like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we didn't get 1,500 subscriptions off of your show. Bye. Yeah. That's not how you treat intellectual property at all. Of any kind. But it's just how our society is kind of built. And I don't want to get on a whole society type of thing. But like, because I'll just go on. But like, there's a lot of promising artists and a lot of people who have great ideas that are just kneecapped before they can start because of the assumption that a network exec has. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, going off of what you had just said, they made the world, like I said it before, they made the world feel so alive. Yeah. You know, even with 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, they fill you in on a whole tradition of things. Like how, like, they say the seafarer mariners, where they don't easily forget or forgive. It immediately tells you how they are as a culture and a people. Yeah. Exactly. So, like, the gratin, what Bria was, the green one, right? Or whatever they're called. I know it's not the Breton, because the Bretons is Elder Scrolls. Yeah. But, like, if they all live underground their whole lives.
Deep, that's deep.
Yeah, what was deep? Yeah, deep. So Celadon asking her why she's never washed her hands, and her going, "Why would I wash my hands?" There are people connected to Thra, so they have no reason to do those types of things. So as an anthropologist, like, from that background, it tells you so much about the world that they were trying to, that they really took their time with.
Yeah.
And, like,
I do want to point out, has 2 dads.
Really?
Deet has 2 dads, and that's
Mm-hmm. Hi, A1.
Deet's got 2.
Like-
You'll see it in like the first scene. You see Deet. They don't say anything about it, but it isn't until after she comes to the surface and meets Hup.
Okay.
That she's like, I have 2 fathers, 1 brother, and
Oh.
it was really sweet.
I must have missed that line, but again, one line of dialogue
Yeah,
tells you most of that. Tells you all the things that the creators want you to know about the background of that character.
yeah,
Mhm.
Is that they're very connected, they're very loving, they're very empathetic, and they're very willing to listen to others, even if they don't know what they're into.
yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. Also, I wanted to say before, I fucking love the Podlings. They're amazing. Like the entire. So Ryan, Did you get to the episode where what was her name? The princess has to go like to her punishment.
Bria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to clean the Podlings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
And
was good.
in the documentary series, they talked about having to have it. They were like, obviously, like the creators and the show creators are given like all the reference material, and they're like, "What do you think about this? Any changes?" And they had like a point where they were like, "This is what we think a podling butt looks like. What do you think? What are your thoughts?" He's like, "Oh, you know, maybe it's so." They had to do some like creative design of a podling ass.
For a single shot.
Yeah, for 1 shot.
Like, again, that just tells you the dedication that the creators had for the project.
Mm-hmm.
And like, to me, comparing like one jungle faring peoples to another jungle faring peoples that were made with impractical effects,
Yeah.
I'm taking the Podlings over Ewoks anyway.
The podlings are
Like-
just so. I mean, they're like they have a lot of life and a lot of charm to them that
Mhm.
the Ewoks didn't really have. But like,
Yeah.
I cringed a little bit every time I saw it, or like I kind of like had a reaction, like, oh my gosh, you spent so much time making that puppet. When they fucking got the puppets filthy, or they would like make the puppets eat food, and food was like falling down the shirt and onto the clothes, or like actually rolling the puppet in mud, or like getting the puppet soapy and bubbly. I kept thinking like, oh my god, like you put so much work into that, and now you're just kind of covering it in like dirt and mud or something.
How many Podling models do you think they had for
Oh,
A lot.
how many Hups
Yeah.
they
A lot.
made? How many Brias they made? How many Rians
Yeah.
they had?
Mhm. Yeah.
One thing I did notice that was really subtle is that they used, for some scenes, they would CGI the corners of some of the Gelflings' mouths to elicit more emotion. And I
Yeah.
was like, that is attention to detail. That's
Going-
slick.
Going back to the CGI company that made the like pre-production like animations and stuff like that, Netflix said like we actually don't want to go with CGI. So like very intelligently, the CGI company's like, well, take a look at this. We did this for you as well, and they like helped. They like did some more help with the blinking, or they like if you notice the Skeksis' tongue moves up and down as they talk, or like some subtle expression changes where you see like a surprise and the puppet might like open their eyes. They have like little animatronic eyebrows that like go up too and like open their mouth. The CGI like helps it a little bit, gives it a little bit more shape, and like just very very great use of like a mix of puppetry and CGI.
Yeah.
And I hope we get more media like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I really enjoyed that a lot because
Yeah.
I don't like going back to the original Netflix animated stuff, but it's not made the greatest.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Netflix original live action stuff, the story isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what they've done is mix the two mediums and kind of were able to tell a story with multiple protagonists, deuteragonists, I guess. Yeah. with multiple deuteragonists and actually have it be cohesive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like that's just a testament. I'm at this point, it's just a testament to the CGI company and the Jim Henson company, because
Oh, yeah.
I don't really want to attach Netflix to this anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, really.
I wonder if
Netflix
like
gave him the
something
money and that was it.
Sorry, what'd you say? Both.
I'll have Corey say what he
I
had
just
to
said
say.
Netflix gave him the money and that was it.
Yeah.
And the
I want-
distribution, but not really any of the craft.
Yeah. I want to see them like take it maybe somewhere else, you know? Maybe they could finish off season 2 and do something, or like put it somewhere else, you know what I mean? Or do something, I don't know. It's like,
I'd love for the Jim Henson Foundation to like have the money to do that.
yeah. I just want more. It just made me want more of that like puppet kind of like more puppet like shows and movies to come back or something like that, like especially from the Jim Henson company, because those movies are so nostalgic to me, and they're just like such a great part of our childhoods, and I feel like people love to see it. Like they're always like, oh man, like they have like a lot of like deep connections to that growing up and watching that, you know, and then to have something for our, you know, that next generation's kids to watch that, you know, and grow up with it, you know. I kind of want to see more of that because it looks really good still. Like it's still so impressive. Like you turn on any of Jim Henson's old films and you watch even the stuff that they've recently been doing, it's still really impressive, and it still looks just as good, if not better than most. I was scared they were going to go full CG on that Dark Crystal show, and I was like, this is going to be awful. Like, but it wasn't, and it was such a good thing that they didn't, because it was like, it would have lost everything. I feel like if you made it all CG, it would have lost everything. All of that personality and all that work and all that like attention to detail, I feel like would have been lost because it's just a 3D show. Like, you know, it's just, you know, you're not, I feel like they, you know, I know 3D animation has come such a long way, and it's really impressive sometimes what you can see. As like, you know, Soul is a great example of like 3D animation that's like, holy shit, that's impressive.
Right.
You know, but like there's something that I feel like just because we can do it in CG animation doesn't mean everything will work in it. Like I like seeing variety. I like seeing when like people can be like, I'm going to make this 2D, or I'm going to make this 3D, or I'm going to do puppets, or I'm going to do, you know, like construction paper. You know, it's like it's cool. It's cool that we have that variety.
I feel like at this point we're at right now, and I'd like to see this maybe in the future as well. CGI doesn't seem like it's meant for photorealism. That could change obviously in the future if like we're great enough at it. But I feel like at that point, like, why not just get real people to do it? Where it like probably at that point maybe saves money. But I like seeing like 3D films and CGI films that are like cartoony and have that like extra like artistic like change to it that doesn't look realistic. I recently watched was it the Mitchells or the
Mitchells versus the Machines.
Mitchells versus the Machines.
I'm actually watching that tonight, so no spoilers.
It's a fantastic movie that has a great art design to it, and like the way the characters move and look, and it looks so fun. I think it's a bit of a goofy film, but I love it. It's charming. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like when 3D does that. Or as we saw in the Dark Crystal, helps the what was already there live action. I feel like making that live action and like I don't know what it was. There was like a thing in the 90s and early aughties about like, oh, 3D has to look real. 3D like animation has to look like real people. And we finally in like the teens, the like 2010s, etc. We got like where there was that shift of people were like, well, maybe 3D can look really good, not quite real. Like take Hotel, what is the Adam Sandler movie? Hotel Transylvania?
Yeah.
Where I don't know, that probably wasn't the first one, but like that was one of the first few where it was like, let's take a 3D movie and make it weird. Let's take a 3D movie and make it look like cartoony.
A 2D.
Yeah. Let's give it that like creative design.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
yeah, because the magnum opus of that very idea is Avatar, and that came out in 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Avatar. Avatar was the start of like the big CGI like boom and
Yeah.
like push like the boundaries of what we can do like
Yeah.
in terms of that.
In terms of
And
photorealism.
yeah, and getting some really good looking stuff. And I mean, it really is a testament to how much that movie influenced so much. But then
Yeah.
like, but like I love when people are willing to take something like I love that's why I like Hotel Transylvania a lot is because it does 3D animation, but it makes it seem like as if it was animated like how a 2D animated film would have been made.
Yeah.
But it's smooth in 3D and it's really great because I mean you got Gendy Tarkovsky who directed that, who did like Dexter's Laboratory and like Samurai Jack and like all these different shows and he's just known for his 2D. And I just like that there's just so much more expression and like like there's so much energy put into that movie that like fuels it. It makes it really fun to watch, which is like because I will defend Hotel Transylvania movies like to death.
They're so good. They're good. They're great.
They're fun. They're like cute little fun movies, and I like stuff like that, and I appreciate when like people can find ways to take art that it's like, okay, we've seen this once before. How can you make this different or unique or your own personal style? And I feel like that's kind of like what like I guess like to bring it all back around, I guess it's like really why Jim Henson is so great, because like the Jim Henson Company's great. So they have to keep reinventing themselves in some way, but keeping to what they are known for, which is puppeteering and animatronics and all these other things. And and I think that this show still shows that they still got it, that they still have all of that talent and they know all the stuff, and they also have been like reinventing themselves. Even like when it comes to everything,
they
but keeping true to their name.
They like stand on shoulders of giants, but they like still like even then like they're more than standing on the shoulders. It's like they're making their own paths too, and it's fascinating to see like how good it still looks, and how even with like it's all acting. It's all comes down to like the bare bones of it, but we could do so much with that now with like the digital film that we have and like the technology we've got. And it's funny. It was funny hearing that they hit all the same roadblocks too, making the puppets. They're like, we thought with technology today we'd be able to do all these things so much faster and better. And while you can do like things faster, like instead of like wood carving hands so that you could mold the things around it, you just 3D print it. But like we still came to the same problem, which was like, how do we make this puppet light so that they don't have to like worry about their hands all day? And then at the same time, like we can't fit all the pieces in there perfectly, and it's like it became a difficult thing still to have a Gelfling as small as it is fit, and they hit all the same roadblocks that like Jim Henson hit.
Yeah, and that's why like I'm still glad that they are still actively making films, because or like being at least a part of films. Like that's you could dunk on the fucking new trilogy for Star Wars as much as you want. They still utilize the Jim Henson Company to make those fucking awesome looking aliens and those background like little actual puppet like characters, and those still look really good in that new trilogy, and it's really cool. And it's like, and whenever I see stuff like that in films, I'm always like, that's great. Keep that up. I really enjoy that. Like seeing like a physical prop there, even though in your head you're like that's a puppet or an animatronic. It doesn't matter. It still adds a lot of charm to it, but it also just feels better. If they were to CG all those like aliens in, I felt like it would have been exactly.
It would have felt weird. It also feels innately Star Wars to have the puppetry there.
Yeah. Like Star Wars is known for like having that puppetry. I think that's because that's what happened with I think the prequel trilogy is they CGI'd everything. So it like people hated it because it felt so hollow and so empty because everything was just like a CGI cartoon. It was just like it didn't feel like, but it was weird because they had real people in it. So real people interacting with a cartoon like thing was like kind of weird, but like a human interacting with like a puppet character like what's the Baba? What's his name? Baba whatever. from the third movie, Rise of Skywalker?
Third
Shit.
movie. Bob, I have no idea. I can't,
Damn
I
it.
can't tell you.
I can't. He's a good meme though. I like him a lot. I gotta find this out. Rise of
Something,
Skywalker.
while Ryan's looking for that, something I did want to touch on was
Babu Frick. That's it. Babu Frick.
Babu Frick. Was sorry, I'll let you finish your idea, Ryan.
So like, you know, I love the idea of like, I love when like people can still have like little like puppets though, I guess, like Babu Frick in a movie, and it's like, that looks great even though it's really silly looking and it's really funny and we're all laughing at it. It's still really cute and I love it, and it's like, that's fun. And like, that's how I feel every time I see the Jim Henson Company's name pop up in a movie, and know that they're still working really hard and doing a lot of cool stuff behind the scenes, even if you don't know it.
Yeah.
It's really cool that they're still there and they're still working immensely hard on a bunch of stuff. But it's always cool whenever they just come out with only their own production and their own stuff and shoot their own movie, and like, it's all of them. It's just them.
Yeah.
And it's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something I
We
wanted
need
to
more.
touch on was before I forget, because it was really important. How actually creepy the show, like the kids show, is. And they make a point of it in the documentary, talk about like, you know, sometimes as a kid you gotta watch that scary, creepy stuff, because it's like, you come out of it having been scared and knowing that it's just a piece of media, but maybe it like mentally prepares you for something like in the future, just like it gives you the tools to handle fear as a child. And like, but goddamn, is the show creepy.
Yeah.
There's like, and especially specifically like some of the stuff with, well, first of all, there's like a lot of gross things in the movie because they cover the puppets in like ooze, or like you see there's a scene where like the emperor is kind of falling apart, and like he removes a fingernail and like pus just kind of shoots out. It's like, oh, it's like that's there's part of like that kind of like deterioration and the fear of death that comes in there.
It's so funny is like, when I first turned it on, it said fear, gore.
Yeah.
And I was like, gore? And then like when you said that, I was like, yeah, oh yeah. Because like I was like, I got confused, and then when that happened, I was like, like I was like,
it was like disturbing. It was very disturbing.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
The general ripped off, or like part of the chancellor's hand. It was like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But like, the thing that killed me though, the thing that got to me, there's a scene, and it's later in the show, that got to me. What they do at one point, right, is they're collecting the Gelfling, and we talked about this already. They're like 7 from each tribe, but then they kind of like completely throw that away, and they're like, no, just like give us all the Gelfling. We're gonna start draining their, like, we're gonna start killing them and then draining their essence, and then drinking that so that we have more life and vitality. There's a scene where you've got like, they show the whole thing where like the Gelfling are all strapped in the chair, and how they get there is they get these like little plants on their faces, and they get like mind controlled, so they like robotically walk into the chairs, and then the things come off, and they're like, no, mercy, no, like, I helped you, and the scientist, you know, fucking like is like, oh, you know what, the Gelfling were in here before you were screaming mercy, and I felt nothing, so I feel nothing now. And they do the thing, and he pulls the lever, and they all start, they look at the crystal, and you would have seen it at the beginning, and they're just like, and they're getting like their forces drained out of their bodies.
Yeah.
And I was watching it happen, thinking like, oh, well, they're showing this whole scene, so like the heroes must come in at some point and save them all. No. And I got like suddenly emotional about kind of the situation where like, there, you know, the turning point where you realize like, oh, there is no help, like they're not going to be saved, and this is the end for them, and they get completely drained, and they burst, they do like a burst into like a light or something like that, and there's like no body left over, but at the same time I'm just watching this room of like 10 Gelfling die, and it's just heart-wrenching.
Like, this is just genocide. Like,
yeah. Oh, well, they did that to the podlings in the first movie. That was what
Yeah.
they did. Is they had the podling up there, and they sucked like the gem, the crystal took the life force out of the fucking podling, and I was like, God damn it, that's so much sadder because those podlings they're already living quite a sad, horrible life,
It's
but
so-
they're also like vibing. They're down there fucking vibing, and just like partying it up.
They don't know. They don't know their fate.
But they
But
get
there's-
fucked up.
There's a great line that gives me a little bit of insight into the Skeksis that Okra delivers. And she's like talking to the Skeksis, and she's like, when we die, we go to Thra. When the Skeksis die, they don't go to Thra. They're like, you guys aren't from here. He's like, you go somewhere else. And she says, like, perhaps the abyss, like perhaps eternity, darkness. And I was like, ooh, that's a heavy thought for like a 6-year-old.
Existential.
Yeah.
That's like a big thought.
Big,
Yeah.
big brain.
They cover such heavy topics so well. For
Yeah.
fucking puppets. Like literally
They're
we are
puppets.
watching a cultural genocide of puppets.
Oh!
Like-
When you finish. It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
Like, when you say it, it's weird.
Yeah.
But the thing that they've done is that they've made that strange ass idea
Yeah.
feel tangible
Mm-hmm.
and legitimately terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
see all this. You see, like it's like the actions they cause, and the way it builds up to it is like it's fucked up. You get tied into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, %. And I was just like, "This is better than Game of Thrones." No.
I mean, if we get a season 2 and it wraps up nice, maybe.
Yeah. So
I-
for character work, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
Go
did.
ahead, what
I
were you
wanted to mention. I'm glad I remembered this, and you reminded me, Alex. My favorite scene in this whole show. My absolute favorite scene. There is a YouTuber who does like hand puppetry, right? Specifically with his fingers, and he has ways of like building hand puppets, and he has all these different puppets. They hire him for the show, and he does a little scene where like they're telling the heroes how they have to complete their journey. Well, they build up to it, and they're like, we're gonna tell you guys how you have to like defeat it with one of the most ancient sacred arts that we know. And he says puppetry in the show. And the fucking whole room, everyone in the room goes, oh, like, come on. It was probably one of my favorite fourth wall breaks in any piece of media.
yeah.
Just puppets saying, we're going to show you this thing through puppetry. And everyone's like, fuck this. Like, come on.
The show knows itself very well. I will say that as well.
I love it. I loved it so
They
much.
break the fourth wall when they need to, and it's just like it takes itself it's very serious, but it doesn't take itself too serious.
Yeah.
So it's, oh man, like that's so good.
That's funny.
If anything,
I
watch the
can't-
show for that, guys. Watch the show for that.
Yeah, like, because that's just hilarious. It's just
Yeah.
so good. The thing that I loved was the mixture of having the taller characters just be like actual people in suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Okra. Okra dancing was fantastic.
I love Okra. I love Okra so much. She's got so many good quips. Like, so many good, like, small lines.
Mhm. Like, oh man, the scene when she's leaving her orrery
Yeah.
to go on like the walk, and then she just ducks underneath the big thing. I was like, that's good. That's
She knows.
yeah. Oh, I feel bad for her podling minion
Yeah,
servant.
I think that was
like,
in the castle. So they're, like, they're all surrounded by the Skeksis, and they're still under the Skeksis.
okay,
I think. But,
but like yeah, like Ryan was saying earlier, I feel bad for the Skeksis because they're just vibing. They're not Skeksis. For the podlings.
yeah.
They're just vibing so hard, but they're literally the slave race of this world.
Yeah.
Like,
There's just like They're just down there, just chugging drinks, playing music, and just dancing.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that. Thanks for reminding me. The my favorite fourth wall break is that when the Chancellor and the Emperor are talking alone in the throne room.
The Chamberlain?
Chamberlain, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why it's Chancellor or whatever.
It's very close.
And he's like, play some music for your Emperor. And they start jamming out. Too loud, quieter. And they literally fade it towards the background music of their dialogue, and I'm like, fantastic.
That's incredible. I love that. Just in post-production, just fade it down.
Literally, like, the Emperor says for them to play it quieter, and it goes from the main theme to the background theme of their dialogue.
That's really funny. Yeah, they definitely, like, I feel like there's so much love and attention in this show, like, in little details, in everything. Everything has so much something to it. And honestly, if y'all slept on this movie or slept on this show, I feel like even as an adult, you will love this shit. Even if it's your first time watching it. Like, cause I watched The Dark Crystal as a kid, but like, if I was to say, if I've never seen The Dark Crystal and I watched it like within like the last couple of years, I probably still would have loved it. I still would probably be like, this is a great movie. I love this movie. You know, I still think there's still so much in it that like it stands the test of time. Yeah. And you know, it's a very ambitious project. It's a very ambitious like kind of show and movie. And I think when stuff like this comes around, I feel like you just need to at least experience it once.
Yeah.
Or if at least once. But honestly, like, this is stuff that I would love. Like, I still have been dying to buy my Blu-ray copy of both Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal. Like, I'm planning on I wanted to get it like for like the last like 20, not 20 years. Jesus, Blu-ray's only been around for like less than that. You know, but I've had it on like my wish list. And honestly, after revisiting all this again, I kind of want to go forward now and just finally do it and get this on like Blu-ray and like. And I think that's actually now on Ultra 4K HD, actually. So, you know, so you should get Labyrinth and Dark Crystal on 4K Ultra HD because they have these new collector's editions of them.
Folks, it only works because it was on film.
It only works.
Any film shot digital before like 2010, before 2015, don't buy the 4K. Because it's not. It's just upscaled 2K.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for that PSA. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. If it was shot on film, you can buy the 4K version because it's film.
You possibly just saved somebody's life, Corey.
Yeah, no. If it's shot on film, on reels of film, it can be upscaled to 4K because film is, I don't know how to explain it. The quality of film is how many molecules of material is in the film, which is like exponentially higher than 4K. Anyways, we're about getting down to it. So
sorry. I'm saying if you don't have Ultra 4K, you can't see the puppets getting all goopy.
You're right.
So...
you need to see the goopy puppets.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Final thoughts, guys, while we wrap it up. What do you guys, any final words or thoughts you have on the show or the movie?
I'll go.
Take it.
This is like really watching someone carry on someone or a group of people carry on a legacy into a new decade for a new. You know, like the work that the Jim Henson Company did on this show is really, like, honestly very commendable for just how many moving parts there must have been and how they were all made. Yeah, exactly. And how they were all made. And no pun intended on moving parts for puppets and stuff. But like, this is something that I'm definitely going to keep watching and definitely going to keep my eyes out for to see if there's.
Yeah.
I loved it. That's me.
Yeah. I I have such a deep connection, like nostalgic connection to the Dark Crystal movie, and now knowing about the show and finally getting to watch at least a little bit of it, I absolutely want to continue forward watching this 100%, and I'm probably going to finish up the rest of it. I feel bad I wasn't able to watch it much this week. I was kind of busy, but from what I did see, I was like really enthralled with what they were able to accomplish, and paying so much love and respect to the original as well. I was very worried going in, thinking, "What if I don't like this? I love this old movie so much. I don't know if it'll be the same." But it really was actually pretty close, like to what I was like, to it being like as good as the original. I would say. I think it was just as good. Maybe it's actually better. I would almost argue it might be better, because there's so much more to it than the original film. Like,
feel tangible world.
Yeah, like the groundwork was set with the original film, and there's a lot of love and respect for that. But I think this one expands it, it grows more, it does more with it, and I think it does a lot more to make it more investing and interesting. And then fills in a lot of the gaps that I feel like the movie sometimes lacks. Is that it doesn't have like all the answers to everything. But when you watch this, I feel like it gives you enough time to get to understand every detail about it, which is what I think is really good about this show. So personally, as a fan of the original film, this is a great show. Highly recommend it. But then also, if you've never seen Dark Crystal, you should totally watch it. Watch the original film and watch this new series.
Yeah.
I think you will not go wrong with either. Unfortunately, Dark Crystal was available on Netflix, but then they pulled it off Netflix. It's now on Hulu. So Hulu has the rights now to the Dark Crystal film, but Netflix has the rights to the Dark Crystal television series.
Messy.
Whatever. Yeah, it's a little messy. Unless maybe, who knows? Hopefully, maybe because Dark Crystal's now on Hulu, maybe that means that Hulu will pick up the rest of the series. So maybe...
Hulu season 2. Hashtag. Well,
think about how awful that is. You have season 1 on one platform, and then the second season only available on another streaming platform. Like, holy shit.
It's fucking awful. It's Hulu. If you want to do Dark Crystal a service, give Netflix the money to do the season 2.
Yeah. Hulu, pay the money to Netflix to pull it off their website so that you could put it on theirs, and then fucking make season 2 and just make it a Hulu original.
Here's what it is. You ready? Okay, maybe that might work too. If Hulu can just have season 1 with them and Hulu finishes it. But imagine this: Hulu's like, we'll we'll give you the money, we'll help you finish the film, but it has to say a Hulu original on the Netflix platform.
Number one. That's fantastic.
I would do it.
Yeah, I would do it. I'd love it. I'd love Hulu and Netflix for doing that. My last thoughts are hashtag Dark Crystal season 2, and I'm very happy my approach to season 2, which was I was hyped for it to begin with, and that's always a little worrisome. I was hyped for it. I watched the documentary on the film first, or on the TV series first, which was actually there's like not a ton of spoilers in that. I think obviously there's visual like things you see into like the last episode, some visuals. They don't spoil the story or anything, but you get to see like some of the action that does happen. Not too much spoilers in my opinion. And then I actually started watching the show. And like the hype was met. It was what I felt.
Yeah.
And that was really satisfying.
It's definitely the creative process. Like it's like watching the creative process, seeing how it was made, and just kind of appreciating the work that was put into it. I think watching that little behind the scenes featurette doc that they have on Netflix, I think will add a lot of the appreciation to what you're watching. So would you recommend that people, even if you're kind of wary, just to watch the documentary of the making of the show just before watching the show?
Yeah, it's really nice to see like the making of it, what they went through. We didn't even mention with Brian Froud this episode. He was like the artist. He's like the sketch artist, the guy who like basically made the look of the whole movie. Like Jim Henson made the characters. Brian Froud was like the guy who made the movie look how it looks.
Wow. Okay.
So we didn't even really talk about him. They get into like his process a little bit. They talk about his stuff. They talk about him and his son making the TV show together.
Oh wow!
So Brian Froud and his son worked on the show together. And then there's just so much more. Like the actors talk about their process. The puppeteers talk a little bit about their process. It's really fascinating.
Okay. That sounds really cool. I definitely want to watch that for sure. Cause like I love behind the scenes stuff. Like that's something that I miss a lot about like the DVD era of movies is the behind the scenes stuff. Cause like there's a lot of Blu-rays I've gotten lately where like it's that really shitty menu where it's like the like play scene and it's like it looks like something out of like a DVD maker like back in like 2002, but it's for a Blu-ray copy. Like my It Chapter 1 Blu-ray has like the shittiest menu and there's like no behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's
but for some reason It Chapter 2, I bought that on Blu-ray. It has a 2-hour documentary about the making of It.
Holy
yeah.
And it's like
saving it for it.
That's like
so I was like, I guess you were just waiting for the last part to make the cool thing.
That's like film.
But it sucks that it's like
there.
Yeah. I wish I got like a making of just part 1 and then the making of part 2 and just separate it like that. But they were like, no, we wanna put a huge ass like a bonus feature mostly for just the second film. And it's like, what if I didn't get the second movie? Then I don't get that cool thing. Wow. It's like, you know. But then there's times where like you go on the special features of some DVDs and Blu-rays and you get nothing.
Yeah.
You know? It sucks. Like it's so dependent on certain things, but like I feel like whenever there's an opportunity to watch the behind the scenes of something, you should absolutely look into it and watch it. Even no matter how bad the movie is. Like I love looking into what happened or what's the like let's see what the process was like to see why the movie ended up the way it did, or like maybe it gives you a better insight of things. You know? Like 100%. I definitely want to watch the commentary track on Cats. Because I have it on Blu-ray. I can't wait to fucking go into the commentary track just to hear what the director Tom Hooper has to say about that movie. You know, and it's like so for like to know that Netflix was like, hey, let's show a behind the scenes featurette doc on the behind the scenes of the show. That's cool. They don't do that at all for any of their other shows, but they did it for this one. Cool. That's neat. I like that.
I think at one point they were like, well, it is the Jim Henson company, so we kind of have to give people a look at what they're doing, and then they completely about that by the time they won the Emmy. So
I can't believe they bum rushed them.
Oh, dude, fucking kneecaps, man.
Hashtag Dark Crystal Season 2. Hashtag the Dark Crystal Season 2.
For real.
Let's get it going, guys. Wait, how many people needed to sign that GoFundMe? Not the GoFundMe, the change.org thing.
Let me.
Because we'll also sign.
We will all sign it.
I'll sign it.
I want to sign it. And everybody that's watching this right now, we'll do the change.org and we're all gonna fucking sign it because this show is great.
So I'll put the link in
Twitch chat.
Yeah, put it in the Twitch chat so everybody can do it. And if you're an audio listener, definitely
we'll read the link out to
you. We'll speak it to you.
Oh wow! Uh-oh.
www.
That's a big link.
Yeah. Yeah. I am totally signing it right the hell now.
Okay, change.org. Show Netflix that people would watch the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Season 2. That's the name of the change.org. I'm filling this out right now.
You think.
Here we go. I signed it. I did it.
Alright. Copy link.
Copied.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna tweet to my followers about it.
Ooh. Alright, I think I signed it.
Yep, I saw.
I signed it just now. I'm sharing it to my Twitter.
Yep, and I'm gonna
Hashtag.
share it to mine as well.
Hashtag the Dark Crystal Season 2.
Big
Ugh.
fan.
Wow. I didn't think I was going to be tweeting during the middle of our show, but here we are.
Here I am.
Also, my dog is barking.
Bad form.
There we go.
This is like so needed.
Absolutely.
Let's see. How do I... Oh my god, why... Okay, TweetDeck is really bizarre. I forgot how to...
But next week, by the way, next week is a host decided topic.
Ooh.
Yeah, this topic this week was picked by Alex, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll figure out what we're gonna discuss for next week, and let y'all know as soon as we know. So we're gonna get on that. Make sure you guys give us a follow. Check us out on our YouTube channel as well. It would be YouTube's Oh Baby a Triple. Oh Baby a Triple. The name's right here.
It's
Oh
down
Baby.
here.
Oh Baby a
Somewhere.
Triple. It's down here, right here somewhere. The name of the show. Oh Baby a Triple. So we are trekking on with this being the longest season of Oh Baby a Triple yet.
Hell yeah.
Season 6
Hell
guys, the longest season, 11 episodes now. And we're going to keep going. We don't know. We don't know how many episodes. We're going to keep going until we decide we need a season 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to think we didn't even talk about Dark Crystal's Age of Resistant Tactics, the video game.
There's a
There's the game.
Yeah, there's a video game for this.
There's a video
It had a game tie-in.
Maybe it'll be the extra content.
That'll be our bonus feature.
For bonus. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We will see you next week when we have our new topic. So appreciate y'all. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.